The following programming is sponsored by Mark J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor Mark Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. Through his innovative work and the Forward Focus Forums, Mark connects entrepreneurs to resources that fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, revealing the lessons they've learned and the stories behind their success. Join Mark and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a little fun. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, America. How are you? I'm Mark Bernstein. This is Founders Forum. I'm here with my guest Todd today, and we're going to have a good time. As I mentioned, we did an earlier show today. It's a very sunny day in Philadelphia, which we haven't had a lot of lately, but it's a great day to be here in the station at WWDB AM Radio in Bala Cynwyd, Pennsylvania. And you're probably listening either on their website or as a podcast. We are both, and we love both media. It's great. So, Todd, I'm going to surprise you because I didn't really tell you what our topic of the day is, which you always do.
Oh, man.
We didn't have a chance. That's because he hit a traffic and he was a little late. So anyway, not to embarrass you, but anyway. So we, this is like part two because we did this on our last show, and I'm a big advocate of lifelong learning and growth, especially for entrepreneurs. You have to stay ahead, if you don't stay ahead, you go backwards. That's my belief. So I'm always one. I'm a lifelong learner. I won't tell you how old I am at this moment, but I'm old and I'm getting older. and the more you hear the expression, the more you think you know, the less you know, and the older you get and the more you want to learn. And I really believe that because there's so much out there to benefit from learning. And since you are a guy that's involved in AI, and our last guest was also involved in robotics, this is the title I picked for this is part two of the Learning Advantage: How Founders Stay Ahead of the Curve. And many people are working in fields, including you, that didn't exist that long ago. Although I did work with someone who's been working with AI since the early 2000s, but people haven't heard it that much until recently.
Exactly.
So it's been around, but it's still relatively new. And there's lots of other things, I'm sure, technology-wise, you're working with that are new. So what's your approach to learning and staying ahead of the curve, Todd?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's I think for me, the key, so I've somewhat of a learning disability, right? So it'll be things will be a little scattered for me, but I think I found if you can find really good sources online of things you trust. And when I say trust, it's not always easy, right? Because there's a lot of things not to trust too. And so I think finding good sources that kind of feed or help you, because if you might have a weakness in the way that you adapt or learn or educate yourself on new things. But I think the key is to kind of keep doing it and then adapt as you see things because sometimes you might trust something, but then maybe it gets a little shaky. You need to look at other things or diversify what you're looking at always, constantly, every day, every second, it's always, or it's in your mind like that.
So you have an approach to double checking the education you're getting to making sure you're getting the right information.
Yeah, it's that's if you don't do that, you'll trip yourself up. And I'll give you a perfect example, right? Just it was a few weeks back, I saw a video where it was Elon Musk and the Microsoft's I forget his name, but the CEO guy,
Bill Gates.
No, the current CEO. I forget it. Is Natya, or I forget I can't pronounce his name right. My apologies.
That's okay.
But I saw a video where they were conversing over a topic, but I think the whole thing was fake.
Right.
But some people didn't know, or it caught me because I wasn't really paying attention. I was it's kind of cool because they were talking about Azure and things that I do. So it was very easy for me to pass that along as something real. Right, and
I see fake stuff every day now. It's very, very common.
But so those would be the challenges I face, right? Because sometimes, even if you find a good source, it doesn't mean it's a good specific thing.
Right. Not to put you on the spot, but you mentioned a little bit of learning disability. Do you talk about that? Is that something you talk about?
So like it's more of like a dyslexia. So when I was younger, I just didn't learn. I don't know. I always had trouble in school, and then I had to get like one-on-one coaching. My dad would always, got that for me. And then I have a form of dyslexia. Like sometimes if I read something, I might see it backwards. So I think just being aware of that has helped me. So
I always believed I have a very, very mild form of that. I get things mixed up. Also left-handed, so between those two things.
Yes.
But in your case, you have one that's actually been dealt with to a certain extent. So this is an inspirational story then, because you're having quite an amount of success in business, and I think this could be a good for people listening, to hear about.
Yeah, I think it's just like, sometimes just being aware of your weakness and then thinking about how could you get around it,
Well, and the other thing is also then look at your strengths and build on your strengths,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So with that, this is a good opportunity to introduce Todd R. Kueny Jr., co-founder and chief technology officer at PatientWing and Claris AI. So Todd has over 20 years of software development experience with 10 years of technology leadership and is, as I mentioned, co-founder and CTO of both Claris and PatientWing. At Claris AI, their mission is to transform raw data into actionable insights while ensuring compliance and driving innovation across regulated industries, which is tough, like financial services, which I know that one well, life sciences, and manufacturing, which I know a bit about as well. PatientWing is a patient-centric cloud-based platform for clinical trials. Their mission is to connect patients, sites, and sponsors and optimize the trial enrollment process using cutting-edge technologies and data-driven solutions. So, Todd, as I like to do, why don't we start at the beginning, talk about kind of your education and what led you getting into technology, and then maybe, I think in order, we'll talk about PatientWing first a little bit, and then Claris AI. How's that sound?
Yeah, perfect. So what got me into technology? I've been at it since since literally just a child. I mean, my dad kind of worked his way up at, had kind of like an engineering position where he did a lot of software development. So I just learned a lot from him just as I was younger. Meaning he'd buy like a computer. Like I remember when he bought like a Pentium 2 and had a Windows 98 Plus on it, and it had all the cool features. And I was anyway, just things like that. So I kind of grew up around that age. So I've always been in it. Now I started coding though, I'd say at like a younger age. But I think what led me down the path was just, I like to solve problems. I like hard problems. I'm constantly thinking. It keeps me busy. It helps me to just stay focused on something. And so that's kind of what also led me to entrepreneurship. But I would say, obviously, my dad was a key influence on my technology direction in my life. And then I think the self-learning, the other thing my dad was big on was self-learning. In fact, that was that was the default, not the other way around, right? So the way to think about it is it was always like that never stopped, right? And I don't think it ever does, or when it does, then it stops, So and then I would say entrepreneurship. I'd say the one thing I probably didn't get from my dad, or as I went out into the real world, was money, finance, business, maybe a little bit, but I think that was things I had to learn on my own. And that's what everything has now kind of led me to this point.
How going way back, how did you start coding at a young age? You did that on your own?
So it'd be like things that I wanted to do or things I was interested in. So like an example, I started just learning code through with what my dad was doing. He worked in like C++ type stack, and he had like his own business. He had his own like product. But I was always interested in I remember going on to AOL and doing coding my own stuff for that initially. That was kind of the first thing that got me into just building my own stuff or learning how it worked. Because I was on AOL, you'd have these bots you could build, and you could scroll, and so I would be one of those guys building those, trying to kick people off or have the ability to kick people off. Cool. Just being kind of dumb, but yeah.
Well, but you're curious.
Curious. It was more curiosity. Yeah.
Got it. But then it sounds like it kind of hooked you. You got more interested and developed it further over time.
Exactly.
And then did you go to school for that?
No, I never. So I to be honest, you know, I don't say this much, but so I never graduated. I didn't graduate high school. I finished like up to 11th grade.
Oh.
And then I had a little bit of community college, but I never finished any formal education.
Partly kind of due to your learning issue, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. I think it was like, and I was always afraid. I never confronted it head on, you know. So I had to work around that, I guess, is like a kind of like a weakness, you could say. Right. I tried to make it a strength because it's hard. That's hard. I think what school really helps with is that initial foot in the door. A lot of times, you know that some of the basics and you can get in. Whereas like if you don't have that, you have to kind of learn that on your own, you know. So then I'd be like, when I would do interviews, it would be like I'd literally just try to show things that I did because they're not going to believe, like they're not necessarily going to believe you, right? So if you can prove it in some way, I think that helps.
Well, you know, just this idea of strengths and weaknesses. I learned a lot from a program for entrepreneurs called the Strategic Coach, Dan Sullivan, and many people listening will be familiar with him. And one of the things he talks about, one of the first things is that don't focus on your weaknesses, focus on your strengths, because you know you'd spend your whole life working on your weaknesses and they may still just be there, but focus on your strengths. Mm-hmm. And he used to say, you know, let's say like I'm trying to think of a good example in baseball, but there are baseball players that all they really do is hit home runs, and that's all they're there for. They don't have to be good at almost anything else, right? So they pay him a lot of money just to hit home runs. Or he would use the example, you know, Frank Sinatra never needed to move pianos. You know, all he needed to do, they pay him to sing. So all he has to do is get up and sing, and he's good, right? Yeah. So
I love that.
If there's a little advice there, it's like, don't worry about the weaknesses. What I think you've done in my observation is that you've learned what your strengths are. So you stumbled on one that's the coding, right?
That's the cool like journey of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So I think that's a great lesson to everyone, and still one I've learned over time. I used to worry about the things I couldn't do. Now I just build on the things I can do, you know, and do them well and do more of them. You know, there's another thing he talks about, your unique ability. Focus on your unique abilities and just do that, because then you're really enjoying the ride.
If you can do it, if you can get it, yeah, it's not.
Well, and you have employees that can do the other things.
Exactly.
You can hire people to do, you know, or partner with people that, you know, have the things you don't have, which I think you've done. So speaking of which, you have a partner in business, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So at Claris AI, the two like main founding members are me and Paul Alisi, my partner at Claris, and he's also a founder at PatientWing too. And he's actually a major stake. He like invested and did a lot there. Mm-hmm. And so then him and I both stepped away and now did Claris AI. But we're trying to get some synergies together. Like we focus on life sciences, and it kind of brings everything together for us, you know.
And I imagine he does some things you're not as good at, and you do some things he's not as good at.
100%, right? Dude. I couldn't do it without Paul, man. There's no way, dude. He's been like a saint.
So guess what? You have figured out the secret to unique abilities. That's what happened. You focus on what you do, and right. So
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
For those of you, I'm not sure if we have video today or not. We're working on technology for that. But if you didn't, Todd just put his hands together like he's praying, like grateful, you know. So
100%. It's like a thankful bow.
Yeah. So so tell me about PatientWing, how that got started, and then we'll go on after the break, which is going to be in a minute or so.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. So PatientWing, it was like the first company I was really like a founder or like a member that had founded a company. But when we started PatientWing, it wasn't what it is now. It started as like this like data collection idea for like clinical trial settings, right? So like, and a specific product was called EDC, like electronic data capture, in that kind of pharmaceutical market, in that subspace within life sciences. But we found that it was very competitive and very hard to sell and do a lot there. So we kind of needed to pivot. And so the idea came, like, as we talked to a lot of customers that we were trying to sell to, the biggest problem they said that they were having with clinical trials, and this was like across the board, was they had trouble getting enough patients into the trial to even do it, right? And so that's when we just kept thinking like, hey, what if we could, like, it should be easier. Like, when I was a kid, I could see it being harder, like when I was a kid, because there's not really there's not as good a communication.
Right.
But the weird observable thing there is like, well, it should be getting easier, not harder. Right. And so I felt something
because of mass media and communication.
Yeah. What have you. It's exactly right. I think there's not really any clear focus and coordination of what needs to occur. Right. It's kind of like just disparate systems all throughout the place. And so anyway, we felt, well, hey, that'd be a good mission. I mean, I think the ideal is that it's all smooth. I mean, clinical trials are the foundations of all disease, like how we cure and investigate diseases, I think. But most people see it as like a weird, gross thing that they don't want to be a part of. Usually, or like not everybody, but I'm saying like you need to get more people together. It's like, hey, this is how we actually fight back against diseases.
So how did you conquer that in terms of getting patients to sign up for the trial?
Well, that's the hard part, right? So great ideas. So a lot of like just grassroots, what we called was grassroots. So we, like in the company, we started a grassroots campaign where we would, try to blog like this. We were all like new to all this. So it was like, how can we get people? And we were like, I remember this like one company, it was like patients like me. We're like, how can we get as many like users and traffic as they do? We could do a lot with that. And so just things like that. And that's what we work towards.
So this was really trial and error. I'm only stopping you because we have to take a quick break, but
100%.
But it was like trial and error, but you did figure out how to get the patients on board.
Exactly.
And we'll pick up from there right after the break.
What's holding you back from your next big move? At Workshop Strategy, we're more than just advisors. We're partners in your success. We don't just hand you a plan and walk away. We roll up our sleeves and work alongside you to build a strategy that drives growth, strengthens leadership, and makes operations more efficient. If you run a medical practice, pharmacy, healthcare organization, or any healthcare business, we create solutions tailored to your needs and goals. We're here to help you take your business to the next level. Let's lead with innovation. Let's set bold goals, and let's achieve them together. Visit workshopstrategy.com to get started.
We are back on Founders Forum. And I just found out, hey, talking about trial and error and failures, we thought we were recording video today and we're not. So a little technology bug. So we'll have it figured out. Hopefully for next week happens, right? So anyway, so that's so kind of what happened. So PatientWing you're not involved with anymore. You sort of, I mean, I know you're still an investor. What happened there that led you to Claris AI and your sort of exit as such from PatientWing?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I mean, I have stepped away a little bit. I mean, I still kind of have my nose in it, right? Because like you said, I still have equity as like kind of a main equity holder. But yeah, I mean, so PatientWing was great. I mean, I learned a lot there just in terms of business. Like that was kind of where that's where we had to talk to clients and actually like do stuff and like that type of stuff. I learned a lot there through through a lot of that happened there. But I think what led me to do Claris AI is I think within the pharma space specifically, especially in life sciences, technology can move very slow. Right? It's not adopted quick, right? So then I kind of felt like it was hard to, there's things you wanted to do and then you couldn't.
That's interesting to me. You would think life sciences would actually be ahead of the curve with technology, right?
It's fair. It's like, I mean, exactly. So anyways, but so we, I think, but there's a lot of synergy. And so I'll give you an example. So one of the clients that we first signed at Claris AI was a company called Rare Revolution Magazine. They're based out of Scotland. And they're like a publication where they do a lot of women's rare disease and they do a lot like rare disease specifically. And so they'll do articles, they have magazines, things that they do and publish. So PatientWing actually utilized them to help find some patients in specific diseases, right? And so that's how I first was introduced to that company, Rare Revolution. Great people. I love the people there. And then when we did Claris, we did an AI project with them where so we do a lot of AI so that they can provide helpful assistance to their clients and their end users, right? Anyway, so there's a lot of synergies within what me and Paul are still doing even to this day, and I think we're making really good traction, or we have really good traction at this point.
What are your next steps forward in terms of Claris AI?
Yeah, so right now, I think the immediate, we're signing clients. We want to make sure we can fulfill obligations, and I think short term, we potentially looking to raise some money. I think, it's more private, but I think him and I have talked about raising some money short term to help us grow a little faster. And we have a clear path to do that. I think part of the issue of raising money is you want to make sure you have a clear idea of what you're going to do with it and how exactly it's going to help you get to where you say you want to go, right? And so Paul and I think are really good at that, and so we're kind of formulating some of those ideas now.
Strategizing.
Exactly. So I'd say short term, it's like AI. So right now we're deploying like actual clients into production with some AI, with a SaaS-based AI product that we have.
So you have proof of concept.
100%. We're live now. We're actually live on this Rare Revolution magazine. You just go to rarerevolutionmagazine.com. You can, in the little widget, they have like a librarian that will pop up, and that's Claris, right? So we provided that technology for them. And again, there is a bit learning experience. We're literally doing I've never deployed AI into production in my previous life, right? So this is kind of new for me too.
It's a first,
Yeah.
And you have a number of employees in your company, right?
Yeah, Claris AI. So we're about 15 people now, I think, give or take. And part of that was people that we hired, and then part of it we acquired a company called Energy Edge, which they do like content management with a product called Magnolia, which is great. It's a good product. Anyway, so they did a lot of like projects and consulting projects with that, where they would help like big clients with their websites and do stuff. So we acquired that, and now we're building AI, and we're actually building connectors in with Magnolia. They're actually one of our partners. And so, we're working closely with them to provide AI access to the users of their platform as well.
So a couple things going on. So I was going to ask you about the culture of the company. Let's go there first. You have them. So you inherited some employees and you hired some yourself. Do you have what you would call company culture, and how do you go about creating that?
Yeah, it's funny. We literally, yes, we do. We literally just had a meeting like the other day about it. So we have like a leadership meeting. We actually follow. Are you familiar with this thing called EOS?
EOS.
Yeah, EOS.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
entrepreneur-owned
operating system.
Operating system.
Exactly.
We're having a little malfunction with the chair. Sorry about that.
That's cool. Wait, where was I now? Sorry.
You had a leadership meeting the other day.
Yes, and so our culture, I think, so Paul and I are huge on culture, and I think the culture is like the way, I think Paul explains it nicely, politely blunt. Our culture is politely blunt. We don't like to sugarcoat or try to, hide things. We try to get things out in the open, make sure it's visible, communications are there, and you don't get punished for that, right? So as long as you're helping to work towards the issues that we have to overcome as a company, right? So I think that's our key culture and accountability. I think at leadership levels, if you say things or you don't do things, I think you need to be accountable, and I think that's the other piece of what we kind of defined as our core principles, I would say.
Nice. You want people to speak up, be transparent. We one of the things I've always used is direct address. Like if there is an issue between people, you can come to the leaders of the company, but first you got to go to the person you have an issue with and talk to them about it.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to be able to get along as you're discussing it, right? I
like politely blunt because it means do it respectfully.
Respectfully.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So I like that. So tell me about, we only have a few minutes left, but if you were looking at, it's now June of 2025, if we were looking at June of 2028, Todd, and you and I are talking, what would have to happen over that 3-year period for you to feel that was professionally a successful 3-year period in your journey? And if you would like personally as well, if you'd like to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of what I guess the way I'm taking that is, what do I consider success for me with Claris? Let's say in 3 years, over the next 3 years. Yeah, I think about that all the time. I mean, I really just want in my life is, I want to be able to have a company, something that some people kind of go for this huge exit, right? And then some people don't really have much ambition at all. Maybe it's too little. And so I'm trying to kind of find the in the middle. I'm not that guy that's going to go like, although I love $1 billion company, I think there's a lot of work there, and it takes time, I think, to go through that. But I would say Claris is right in the middle of that sweet spot where we're going to provide AI to business that actually solves problems for them and helps them get ROI and actually is measurable, quantifiable the way that it helps them, right? I think we start there, and then we can broaden it out as a sector there. But anyway, so the success, I would say, over the next 3 years looks like I think I'd like to get the company to at least $10 million in revenue. I think that's doable. Paul and I talk about that, and we're going with like a subscription-based SaaS service. So we're trying to get kind of like a 3 or 5x on the valuation as we grow it. We're aware of all these things, but that doesn't mean we're going to go sell it. It could be just a lifestyle company that we find. We don't know yet, but I would say the next 3 years is actually getting some products out to market, selling them, and getting clients, using our stuff and actually have it providing value. And I'll say this: the product we're going to market right now, and we've talked about this internally, and we're about to kind of do this, is a life sciences based, pharmaceutical based product, where what it does is it takes in FDA regulations for your SOPs, like your standard operating procedures within a pharmaceutical or biotech. And then it'll take the guidelines and then annotate and mark up your SOPs and help you fix what needs to be fixed based off what's changing. So we already live with this with a customer. We already did a POC. And now we already have other clients interested, and so we're going to go to market with this one because it aligns well with everybody on the team and our, I would say, our experience.
Nice. I know you've mentioned to me you have a 6-year-old daughter. Yes, she how about anything on the personal side for your next 3 years? Yes.
So yeah, my daughter, obviously, she's my heart and soul. Everything I do is pretty much for her.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that's it. Yeah, she's my life. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We're out of time, but thanks so much, Todd, for being here today. Enjoyed having you, and thank you all for listening to Founders Forum, and we'll see you next week.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum.